All right, time now for race 2 of the Fujitsu weekend. This is, of course, the development series, but this is a chance to say that you have won a race at Bathurst. Yesterday, David Russell took out race 1 ahead of Steve Owen, the championship leader. It's back on again. 6 drivers here who are doing double duty. Let's hand you over to our commentators. A man who's also got a fair amount of duties this weekend, Cam McConville with Aaron Noonan.
Thanks, Matty. David Russell, as you mentioned, a winner yesterday, but Cam got a little bit of a present at the end of the race. A fine, $5,000 with 2.5 suspended to the end of the year for not maintaining 80 kilometres per hour when the safety car lights went off. That will be in his mind today if we have a safety car.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see on the front row with Steve Owen, who has been the speedy man up here, but he didn't get pole yesterday in qualifying. Rodney Jane there in 7th. So that fine, half of it suspended, but I think a win, you kind of forget about those things, to be honest.
Tim Blanchard starts 14th, had a drama yesterday. We saw him in the fence at turn 2. Ben Barker, the Australian Formula 3 championship leader, making his V8 debut. Adam Wallace in a bit of a famous car that we discussed briefly before. That's Greg Murphy's 5-minute penalty car from Bathurst here a few years ago. So we'll keep the Portaloos all shut for Adam here this weekend, I'd say, with that one.
And it's been a mammoth effort from Drew Russell and his team. Of course, he had that incident at the top of the mountain yesterday. Severe damage to that car. They have pretty much replaced everything just forward of the rear wheels backwards. So it's been a huge task. An enormous thanks must go to the TAFE mechanics. Drew's father Wayne said they couldn't have done it without them, and he'll of course start from the rear of the grid in this race.
Thanks, Bryony. Brian Ingson in pit lane for this second race of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series, and they've been pretty busy with Brad Jones Racing built cars. That's one of the ex-BJR Falcons. That car would not be in the race without the NRMA Smash Repair team. They do a stunning job.
Oh, absolutely awesome job, Noons. And they were pretty busy last night. And of course, Scott McLaughlin in the Fujitsu car for Stone Brothers. Unfortunately, his car, it was in the queue to be fixed, but they couldn't quite get it done properly. So he will be a non-starter here.
There's Aaron McGill lining up on the grid for his 40th round in the Fujitsu Series. He takes the record from Mark Howard this weekend. It's a very special weekend for Aaron McGill. He'll start from 16th, so it's David Russell on pole in the Jayco Falcon. He'll drive with Jonathan Webb tomorrow. Steve Owen, of course, has the big job. He'll pair with Jamie Whincup, but he's focused now. He's on the Fujitsu Series. Green flag at the back. Set to go at Bathurst for 14 laps. 150 points on the line. Love hearing V8 Supercars on the rev limiter. Paul Morris from the second row makes a stunning start in the background. Paul Fiore's gone nowhere, but Steve Owen sneaks around the outside. He leads up Petters Mountain straight, and Drew Russell starting from pit lane.
Yeah, David Russell, that is, just had to lock the inside front tyre. Owen really squeezed him there. And look at this, Blanchard trying to come through the field as well. But Russell was the big loser there, lost a lot of momentum out of turn 1. Now into turn 2.
Big move round the outside of Aaron Russell. David Russell, no relation we should point out, back to 3rd, Morris is 2nd, then Nick Percat, then James Moffat, then Chaz Mostert, Formula Ford Series leader, finished 6th yesterday, his first ever V8 Supercar start. Stunning drive.
Oh, look, I think it's very impressive. He's the Formula Ford Championship leader, and I do the driving standards for Formula Ford, and I can tell you he is a talent, and he will make his way into the main game. He's already decided that's what he wants to do. He's not going to go to Europe. On board with Moffat. Whoa! Percat, Taylor into McPhillamy Park. Not a place you want to lose the rear end of the car. And another driver making his V8 Supercar debut this weekend, young Nick Percat in the Bundy car. He's another guy that we will definitely see in the main game. He's a real talent.
Last year's Formula Ford champ's been under the wing of Walkinshaw Racing for a few years, back with Tim Blanchard in the Syrah May Falcon. In the traffic, Ben Eggleston in front. Here comes a move. Is there a gap? Yes, there is.
Now he's on the back of Rodney Jane. He got a fairly slow run there, diving under Ben. So let's just have a look down Conrod Straight, 5th gear. Fairway back, but he will slowly pull into that slipstream or the toe of Rodney Jane, who's actually having a bit of a look up the inside into the chase here himself.
Making a move on Daniel Gillison by the looks of things, and Percat said with this car, they're trying to make the steering feel a bit heavier so he can feel that front tyre a little bit more to know what it's doing.
I actually drove this car at a ride day a week or so ago at Winton. That car nicks in, and you're right, the steering is quite light, and across the top of the mountain you need to be able to feel the front tyre. So look, I think Nick has only raced an Aussie racing car here before, so he's doing an excellent job. Ben Eggleston there, headlights ablaze. Another Walkinshaw prepared car. And Tim Blanchard, a great effort already inside the top 10. Rodney Jane is next on his side, so but look at that, no shortage of horsepower coming out of that Falcon.
These two cars from the Sonic Motor Racing team, both ex-888 Vodafone chassis. And Rodney Jane putting a move on Daniel Gillison, the young Kiwi. Oh, that was tight. He's driving a car from Greg Murphy Racing, just his second round in the Fujitsu series. Has acquitted himself well, but he's under the gun now. Blanchard's got his nose in front. You've got to get the move done there, and he does it nicely.
Cars are quite unloaded as they go into this particular part of the track. The cutting, very easy to lock the inside front tyre. So that was a pretty good effort by young Blanchard. Headlights on there around the outside where the car would have felt quite flighty and unstable. Now he's trying to get past Jane.
Speed across the top of McPhillamy Park, and then to be anti-skyline, dropping down. Of course, Blanchard, young, emerging driver. Rodney Jane, very busy with business and the like. Racing's a bit more of a hobby, but both part of the same team.
Yeah, look, Rodney will know that. There's no point even trying to hold him up, but this is a great battle. Moffat on the back of Percat. Percat got a great start, and let's see the horsepower of that FPR prepared Falcon. He's about to pull out of the toe and have a look up the inside. This will be big, and he gets through.
That's for fourth. So Moffat makes a move. Of course, this is the older model BF Falcon. He'll be in the FG with Steve Richards tomorrow. Owen, Morris and David Russell, 1, 2, 3. Nice run off the elbow. A little bit more top end from the FPR built engine. It slips on through in what's been a pretty tough weekend for James. They haven't quite had this car pretty much all season set up how they quite want it, but Owen's flying 2-minute 9.79 on that first flying lap. He leads the way. The championship leader has got his nose in front of the mountain. It's going to be hard to chase in the next 12 laps. This is the run, Conrod Straight in race 2 in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series, and David Russell, yesterday's race winner, has been closing in on Paul Morris, having a look down at the chase. Not quite close enough, but it's got some really good pace in this ex-FPR Falcon that's run by Matthew White's team. And that car is very, very quick, but Paul Morris getting plenty of miles this weekend. Oh, a little bit of rear lock, and Steve Owen's gone off too. And he'd gone fastest to the second split by a second, and you know what that's done? That throws away the round when David Russell was going to have to pass Paul Morris to be a chance. Now he doesn't have to.
And Paul Morris leads this motor race. I was just saying that Paul's racing in the Utes this weekend, of course, Fujitsu, and in the Bathurst 1000. Oh, Ben Eggleston pits in the Citygate Mount Panorama entry with big damage.
This is a replay. This is why. Gets into the chase, gets into the back of Daniel Gillison. And around goes the young Kiwi. First time at Bathurst, has done a very good job in the VE Commodore. So in too deep, locked the rears.
Yeah, and it was just noticed that Paul Morris had a little bit of rear lock, and it happens down there. You get quite a bit of brake cool off. They get a big heat up into the chase, and quite common in a V8 supercar to have a little bit of that rear locking towards the end of the stop. But I'm not sure. I mean, Steve Owen probably didn't need to be going that hard. He was 1.8 seconds up. Now he's back in P7.
And he was a second faster than the rest of them to the second split at the top of Conrod Straight. So he had this one well and truly in hand from a pace point of view. So it puts Morris in the lead, Russell in second. And Russell doesn't need to pass Morris to win the round. But nevertheless, a clean sweep at Mount Panorama, that's really tempting.
And he's looking racy too. Paul Morris knows he's there. David Russell has been in this championship, mind you, for quite a long time. He's come in and come out. This car definitely has history, but when you look at 6th place with Jonathan Webb at Phillip Island in the Phillip Island 500, pole here this weekend, he's partnering up with Jonathan Webb in the Mother Falcon again tomorrow, and he's certainly the form driver in the championship at the moment.
This is Chaz Mostert, who we mentioned in the car that Wayne Moles has been driving earlier in the year. He stepped out, given young Chaz an opportunity, and Chaz been getting a lot of help from Glenn Seaton in terms of how you look to get around this racetrack, and there's really no one better than a man like Seaton. We go with Tim Blanchard here into the chase. That's Steve Owen up in front in 7th place, and Owen needs to grab a couple of positions just to get back and stand on the podium. Don't forget, it's a round format still in Fujitsu Series. There's not separate podiums for separate races. It's an accumulation of points, and again there's a problem.
I was just about to say there, Nudes, that he was dabbing the brake pedal all the way down Conrod. There was dab, 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 and then dabbing the brakes again. So clearly got a brake problem in that car, which is very bizarre, only 4 laps in. And
he's being told by the Greg Murphy Racing team to take it easy. Tell you what, he doesn't want this drama tomorrow.
No, definitely not. But I just noticed that how much the brake lights were going on down Conrod. And it's just blocked the rears. There's a bit of smoke coming out from under the car, possibly from the locked rears, but that's some sort of brake problem.
Well, we've been saying that this championship is pretty much his. He came into this weekend with a 204-point margin with 300 available for this weekend, but if he struggles to get more points or indeed can't get to the finish, the championship's alive with 2 rounds to go. I'll tell you what, this race is alive. Morris and Russell are being caught by James Moffat, who sits in 3rd spot. We haven't even gone halfway through race 2 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercars, but it's the dude who leads the way. It is on at Mount Panorama. David Russell has pounced on Paul Morris and taken the lead in race 2 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series here at Mount Panorama. Great shot from our coat tire chopper as the cars roar up Mountain Straight one more time. And it's not a 2-way dice, it's now a 3-way dice. James Moffat is on the scene.
He has, and he's caught up just nicely there.
There's the coat tire chopper that's been giving us great viewpoints of Mount Panorama today. It'll be doing the same tomorrow. But at the moment, Russell has got in front, but Moffat, he is now a factor.
Yeah, he is. It was just interesting. Russell just a fair bit stronger than Paul Morris under brakes. He really closed in on that last turn and made a clean pass into turn 1. But Moffat's just got a handle of this car, a bit more rubber down today. It's working better for him. Nick Percat's just dropped off the back of these 3. Just wants to get through this weekend and get some more miles under his belt. But Moffat is certainly on a charge of 53.0 to the first sector, equal to David Russell out in front. So he's actually put 7/10 on Paul Morris to this point of the lap.
Percat 4th, Mostert next, then Jeff Emery. This is a replay up the top on the run through Reed Park, and Moffat going. When you get to that curb, you know you're trying.
And that's why occasionally around here you get a bit of tyre damage, because that tyre was quite loaded as it gripped up and clipped that curb. So a fair bit of load going through the left rear tyre there, but maximum commitment under the tree, as they call it there, just pulling 4th gear, and Moffat's giving it everything.
The update with Steve Owen in the R&J Batteries Commodore, he is 10th. So he slipped back a little bit further, so trying to manage those issues, and he's lost the pace. He's not running as fast as the cars around him, so he might lose some more spots. He's just trying to get to the end, get some points, and then head to Sandown for the next round.
Well, Nick Percat is actually 2nd in this championship, so and he's actually closing up a little bit. This could be a 4-way dice, so the championship, it's never over till it's over. Everyone, I thought, was of the opinion that Steve Owen had this in the bag. He had a bit of a drama at Townsville where he tangled in turn 1 with Russell, and here it's not going all the right way for him either.
Tim Blanchard, the last car through. Just before him there was Jeff Emery, who'll make his debut in the 1000 tomorrow. There's Ben Barker, the young Englishman, just 19 years of age. He's running 9th. And here is the car, Drew Russell in 14th place. There he is in that repaired car. Great job from that small team from Newcastle to get back into the motor race. But David Russell pulled out virtually a 2nd on that lap and is starting to drive away. And if anything, Percat's gained some ground on Moffat.
Yeah, he has. So perhaps Moffat's just hurt the rear tyre a little bit. He certainly had a fair bit of car attitude across the top of the mountain. You can only do that so many times till you heat up the case of the tyre, and it does tend to drop off a couple of tenths. So it's not a relatively long race, but perhaps he's just losing a little bit of pace on this last lap.
This is the extreme slow-mo. This is Marcus Zukanovic's Commodore. He sits 10th in the race at the moment. And this is up the top of the mountain. And look, the spoiler hitting the curb, the compression through the suspension. This is all happening so fast, you don't really see this in real speed.
Oh, this is awesome footage. I mean, that front splitter there just touching the curb, so it starts to wear the splitter. You can see some flame coming out the side of the car on the overrun as they're off the throttle. Great footage.
Watching our timing screens, Owen has lost heaps of ground, heaps of pace. He's got huge problems. He's back to 12th, and it couldn't have happened at a worse round because it's just a 2-race format. Normally it's 3 races with 100 points on each race. This one's more loaded, 150 points up for grabs. It's the worst time to have a problem in a race.
Well, he's still got 201 points, so he's going to lose about 30 points at this stage to Nick Percat. But great for the championship, not so good for Steve Owen. I'm sure he's really thinking about tomorrow with Jamie Whincup, but that keeps the championship wide open. They've still got Sandown and, of course, Homebush, the grand final in December to go.
Moffat a little bit wide of the exit of the last corner. Russell that time at 2:09.73. He has really got this one by the throat. That car looked really pacey yesterday, and they've backed it up again today. We're right on board. Norton 360 Falcon.
So he's about to make a roll bar adjustment there, and he's actually, I can't tell you exactly which way the FPR bars work, but I'd say more than likely just soften the rear bar off a little bit, just to allow the car to have a bit more compliance and look after that rear tyre. So the fact that he is making adjustment inside the car is that he's probably just lost a little bit of balance. But a 2:09.7 by David Russell, we're going to see times in the 7s in the shootout for the V8 Championship Series, but that is a competitive race pace for the Bathurst 1000, so he's certainly not hanging around.
Of course, the guys at the front will be back in action tomorrow. David Russell with Jonathan Webb, Paul Morris with Russell Ingall, James Moffat, as we mentioned, with Steve Richards. Nick Percat won't be racing tomorrow, made his debut at the L&H 500 at Phillip Island. Of course, though, Ryan Briscoe coming back to the country to drive with Andrew Thompson. But David Russell, this is just, we said it yesterday, it's just great for the confidence. And of course, having a support race from the Fujitsu series wasn't around when, say, you were a young guy, so it gives them more of a chance to run on the track, more laps, more of a chance to get your eye.
And listen to this camera angle. You can hear the drivetrain, the gearbox, everything just working. It is a fantastic audio.
Timing is perfect, and Percat closes in.
We're talking about that rear brake lock, Nunes, and that's exactly what you saw there. The back of the car snake around just at the latter part of the braking phase. So I'd say the rear tyre is becoming a bit of an issue for James Moffat. We knew he made a roll bar or an anti-roll bar adjustment inside the car. I'd say brake bias would be next. So let's have a look at this. You see the rear just losing traction towards the very end of the stop. And it was not particularly fast lap for him last time round.
David Russell leads the way. The margin about 2 seconds back to Paul Morris. He's on target to take the round in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. More from the mountain, just a tick. David Russell is the man who leads the way. The Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series at Mount Panorama, race 2 of the weekend. And this Falcon has been flying. He's got the margin out to 2.5 seconds over Paul Morris. He's pretty comfortable there in the Love Commodore. Moffat 3rd, Percat in 4th spot. And the race really now has settled into something of a rhythm. I nearly tripped over that. A rhythm, Cameron Conroy.
Well, I just wonder whether Nick Percat is still a chance to sneak a position out of James Moffat. It'll certainly help his championship chasing down Steve Owen if he can grab those extra points. So this is on board, looking out the back towards Nick, over the top, Percat using all of the curb and down into the dipper.
Have a look at how low the Coates Hire chopper's flying. There's lots of drivers who've told me this weekend, when it flies alongside them over McPhillamy, it's actually quite distracting.
It is. I can vouch for that. Last year you think, whoa, where's that chopper going? They're going to land on my roof, but fantastic footage nonetheless.
I saw Nick Percat just before the start of this race, and he had one of his fingers taped up. I thought it was very, very strange. Drivers regularly will tape up the middle of their hand, particularly with the gloves. He said, no, I just slammed it in the door before. Not exactly the best pre-race ritual.
The problem there is, Aaron, that David Reynolds drove this car previously, and he's just as clumsy. I think he's been hanging around with Dave too much. But it doesn't look like it's affecting his performance. Nick Percat, we mentioned during yesterday's telecast that Garth Tander certainly tries to help Nick as much as possible, part of the Walkinshaw stable.
And Tim Blanchard here running in 6th place, which is great. He started 14th, so he's fighting with Nick for 2nd in the championship. And also, these two guys, no doubt, will be the guys fighting it out for the Mike Cable Young Gun Award for the best first-year V8 supercar driver. Tim Edwards, team principal of Ford Performance Racing, Maranbarella from Ford Australia, hoping for a big result in tomorrow's great race. The Blanchard working his way back up the mountain. He's 8 seconds behind Chaz Mostert and not running at the same pace, so he's losing a bit of ground.
Made a slight mistake yesterday. This is a replay of Rodney Jane just locking an inside front there. Certainly won't have an issue getting any more tyres for that car. Just at the apex, so very late in the stop, and didn't lose much ground out of it at all. So just hanging on to the top 10, Rodney Jane.
Now here's Steve Owen, and he's just been off again down at turn 1. He is 16th in the race. He's running in the 216s, 217, so they're just trying to manage this car and get it to the end. Moffat in 3rd. Here's the replay, turn 1.
So I'd say what's happening here, Aaron, that he probably doesn't have any front brake. So you can see the rears were locked all the way in, and when you have front brake fade, it causes the rear to grab all the time or inconsistently like that. So, you know, that's a pretty big call for Steve to stay out there, to be honest, if he's really struggling to have any front brakes at all by the look of it. And it's something that can happen with heat dissipation, but it could be a fluid problem or a master cylinder, who knows, but really struggling to have any brakes on that car at all. So it's just a matter of survival for him to try and get some points.
Can't think of anywhere worse than having brake problems.
Look at all these different camera angles. This is fantastic. So you'll see the gear lever on the left there, full throttle upshift. So it has a shift cut, just pull the gears through. That's 5th gear there, up over the crest where it'll get it a little bit light, and then back 2 gears here for turn 2. Well, a little bit of opposite lock there, so he's still, whoa, and again over the curve there, so he's still fairly busy, he's trying hard.
Just spoke with Dean Lilly, the team manager for Steve Owen, and he said it definitely is the no front brake issue. Steve is struggling. He said they actually had the same problem in yesterday's race. Not as bad though, they've changed everything overnight, but the problem has reoccurred, so they're here scratching their heads, hoping Steve can hang on for 3 more laps.
Well, Bryony, he's doing 2 minutes 30.2 last time around. He is in 16th place, and if he can stay there at least, he'll still earn 195 points for the weekend, and Nick Percat, where he runs, is 231, so he just needs to get it home. Being a retirement will be an absolute disaster.
That's big to go around Bathurst with hardly any front brakes. Let's have a look down here. Nearly 290 kilometres an hour.
Short shift on the exit of the chase there to minimise the wheel spin. 4th gear under the bridge. Not quite to 5th. And then hard under brakes for the final turn.
There's a lot of correction going on that lap, a lot of that opposite lock, quick correction on the corner exit, so certainly the car is oversteering a fair bit for him. a 2:10.7. In fact, a 10.7 for the first three, and Nick Percat a 10.8. So they're all lapping very similar place. As you can see, this race has settled down. But has Moffat completely lost all opportunity to get on the back of Paul Morris? Still a couple of laps left.
I think they've lost the opportunity to go with this guy, the Jayco Falcon. David Russell flying. The next Mark Winterbottom FPR car that was driven last year by Brad Lowe. This team won the championship with Jonathan Webb last year, and it's been a real tough year for David and this team. They were expected to be one of the front runners. Finished third in the championship last year in another team, Howard Racing. He's fourth coming into this weekend. Just hasn't quite gelled, but it's been coming good at the right end of the season with a win in Townsville, very strong here, and it builds that confidence for tomorrow's big race.
No doubt about it. It's all about miles around here. That's for sure. I mean, it's a big ask to jump in a front-running car, which he is with DJR, but David's had a lot of experience now, close to between 6 or even 7 seasons. I think he's sort of been in and out of the Fujitsu series.
He's done a lot of stuff. He was in the series in the early 2000s and spent a bit of time in Carrera Cup, and he's still pushing. He's not going to cruise this
lock
one
up there.
I think that tyre felt it too.
But look, you're right, Aaron. It's valuable miles for James. Paul Morris doesn't need the miles. He's just out having a bit of fun. But David Russell, this will give him so much confidence. He's got the warm-up in the morning before the race and then jump in the 1,000.
Give us a quick snapshot on how things are at the Todd Holden Racing team, Garth. Obviously, the shootout in car 2 today. What are we expecting?
Well, the car felt very good this morning. I've driven the car on full tanks, race tyres, and the balance has just got a little bit better each day. We're still chasing a bit of outright pace, but for the HRT fans out there, I think Garth will put on a pretty good show this Arvo.
David Russell's been putting on a show too. He will go by and start the final lap here in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. His margin is 4 seconds back to Paul Morris, so he's got to the lead, he's passed Morris, he's controlled the race, and he's on his way home. But Moffat, that time around, 2:10.79. Morris, 2:11.49. He's got a sniff.
That was it. That was the radio chat. 0.7 of a second he closed in. So whether he's made another adjustment in the car and just sort of driven the car straight for a couple of laps to try and get those Dunlop control tyres to recover a little bit, which they can do sometimes if you just be kind to them for a couple of laps, and he might have enough to try and have a lunge here on the last lap.
We talk so much about tyre strategy in the main game, but in the Fujitsu series they've got 2 sets of new tyres to play with from qualifying in the 2 races. A lot of the teams ran qualifying in race 1 on 1 set and then saved up the 2nd set for this one. There's Terry Morris, Paul's dad. He's quite happy to see how this is all going. He's on target for a podium. He's done a couple of rounds of the Fujitsu series this year. Last year he roughed up a few of the youngster drivers, but he's been a bit more measured this year.
Well, he might get roughed up here because Moffat's chasing hard and there's still a couple of overtaking opportunities. One is down into Forest Elbow.
And the thing is too, on Conrad, the BF Falcon, the older car, is a little bit smaller in its frontal area. It cuts the air down Conrad a little bit straighter. The VE is a bit wider. He is still a shot. A good run off the elbow here. He's all over him down into the elbow. He won't get sucked into taking this move, but Morris goes defensive. Now, Moffat needs to get on the throttle and get the power. Morris with a problem, pulling off to the side. Moffat through to second.
No.
And there's drama for the dude. The love is gone.
Well, it looked like he tried to block the inside. I wonder if he's got a flat tyre, or it's hard to hear on the audio whether it's an engine problem.
He's coasting down Conrad.
Sounds like he's actually shutting the engine off, so perhaps some sort of engine drama, but he lost a heap of time on that last lap, but not so much for this guy. Well done, Dave Russell.
The
2 out of 2.
Oh, the clean sweep. What a way. David Russell has dominated the mountain. He takes round 5 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series.
Great job this
Second for James Moffat.
Fantastic. Big effort to fix the car, and awesome job.
And David Russell referring to that car was crashed on Thursday in practice. They put in a wonderful effort to get it back on the road. Chaz Mostert in 4th place for the race. And he should grab 4th for the weekend. That is stunning.
Well, we've got to see where Morris comes around, because he's tied on points for 3rd for the round with Nick Percat. And unfortunately, Blanchard up to 5th, so Nick Percat moves onto the podium for the weekend.
And Morris is at the chase. He's just trying to limp to the line to get something. A podium finish is gone.
I wonder, Aaron, whether he's run out of fuel, whether they ran a very light fuel load and that car stopped. So I just wonder whether they've just gone a lap short and the car's out of fuel, which would be very embarrassing for Paul.
So David Russell takes race 2 and the round. Moffat second in the race and for the round. And Nick Percat will round out the podium. Jeff Emery, great drive in 6th. Marcus Sukanovic 9th. And Aaron Russell rounds out the top 10. When we come back, we'll go to the podium.
Yes, it is Fujitsu V8 Supercars podium time, and making the presentation for us on behalf of Fujitsu General, Mr. Sona Omak, the New South Wales State Manager for Fujitsu General. In 3rd place, picking up the trophy, Nick Percat. Nick, congratulations. The pressure was on. It was great racing.
Yeah, the pressure was on with Moff at the start, and then just tried to conserve the tyres, and just had a bit of a brake issue towards the end, so I just had to drop off. And then thanks Paul Morris. I'm not sure what happened, but thank you.
Good on you, Nick. Hop on up and enjoy it. In 2nd place, James Moffat. James, congratulations. This has been a pretty busy weekend, but that's a nice one to take away.
Yeah, look, it is, Barrett. It's been a pretty tough weekend. We haven't had the speed we wanted, but for Norton 360, Toshiba, Boylan Traffic Solutions, Doric, everybody else that's helped me out, FPR, hopefully this is the first of another podium tomorrow night.
Well done, James. Hope to see you back here tomorrow night. And picking up the 1st place trophy, ladies and gentlemen, David Russell. David, congratulations. That's been a pretty wild weekend. That's a satisfying result.
Yeah, well, after the hiccup we had in Thursday practice, big thanks to the boys. The MW Motorsport boys did a fantastic job to get the car fixed on Thursday. Thanks to the TAFE guys. But to bounce back, get pole position and 2 race wins, I'm certainly pumped, and it's great for our sponsors, great for Jayco, Hydrolink, Texon Site and Palm Trans. It's fantastic. So couldn't be happier with this round.
Good on you, David. Well done. Congratulations. Jump up and enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, your Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series winners.
Great job, David Russell's 1st round win of the season. Tom Williams, though, has still been out and about here at Mount Panorama.